Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank the Detroit Regional Chamber and Leadership Detroit for inviting me and my panelists here today. I'm Mark Denson from the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. I'm joined today by two longtime friends, Christianne Sims with Build Detroit and Jeanette Pierce from Detroit Experience Factory, one of my favorite places. Um, let's get right into it. We don't have a lot of time. So I'm really curious. We're here talking about moving small businesses to the next plateau. I'm curious, what's working well right now that we can build on? Christianne, why don't we start with you?
So I'll take the first one. So as Build Institute, we are definitely a part of the ecosystem that's here in Detroit.
Okay.
So what's working well is our ecosystem. We are very strong. We all work together. We're very collaborative. We're a sought-out model in the nation, and so I think that is really what's pushing small businesses forward is our collaboration and ability for our service providers to assist entrepreneurs and small businesses here in the city.
Excellent. I like this spin on collaboration. That is certainly a hallmark of Detroit's small business community. Jeanette, what's your spin on it?
Well, I echo the collaboration, and I think the robust ecosystem, to double down on that. We have people come from around the country, and we do these learning journeys around entrepreneurship, and they are blown away by just all the different types of organizations and grants and funding and that ecosystem that really is a strong ecosystem. As a lot of other places don't have that level of collaboration, to your point, and diversity in the types of organizations that are there to help.
And can I add one? I think
Please.
what's also assisting is that our collaborations is going beyond just nonprofits. It's really touching all sectors that are affecting small businesses. So whether it's government, nonprofit, for-profit, civic. So yes.
That's great. I agree. We've seen all kinds of initiatives happen across the city of Detroit that have involved our civic organizations, small business, nonprofits, and whatnot. It's very good. I'm curious, what do you all see as potential challenges that our small business community is facing? I'm sure folks that are out there listening would like to know your spin on that. Jeanette, why don't you?
I keep hearing from small businesses a lot of times that people don't know that they exist, right? So, I mean, lots of people do, but to really meet and see the marketing side, right? They don't have billboards and advertising dollars. That's one of the reasons we take people inside these businesses and have them tell their stories on our tours, because people drive by them all the time and they don't necessarily know what's going on inside that retail space. And things are changing relatively quickly, so it's also hard to keep up with that. So a lot of times that's what we hear from small businesses, is that how do we get people to know we're here and to know our story, that we're not just, in April Anderson's case is one of our favorite, a bakery, that's nice. Well, so much more than a bakery. It's a community space, and that deeper story than hires returning citizens, for example, and as a UPS pickup and drop-off spot, that really helps people connect to small businesses more, and so I think we need to get the word out about all those stories a little bit better.
Excellent. Thank you. Christianne?
I would say just building up our neighborhood commercial corridors is consistently, going to be a challenge. That's where small businesses really thrive. They really drive our community vibrancy, and really having a lack of infrastructure that's there in our commercial corridors is really making it a little difficult to really, assist in this resurgence of our city and bringing it back full force and really bringing it back full circle around small businesses started this city, and how can small businesses really be the comeback, golden egg that traditional economic development looks for the big business, but really having and putting emphasis on small businesses and putting resources such as funding into the hands of them. Funding is always a big issue. Non-traditional forms of funding that has less barriers that our entrepreneurs can actually access, and actually having funding go toward the infrastructure to support them, whether it's buildings, storefronts, hubs of community spaces to actually have them occupy and incubate out of.
Well, that's an excellent point, Christianne, and I'd be remiss if I didn't plug the DEGC and some of our infrastructure programs we have going on across the city, whether it's the improvements you see on Livernois or coming improvements on Grand River and other arterial streets. These are very important for creating an environment in which small businesses can thrive.
I would say we've been very happy to collaborate with DEGC with Motor City Match and Motor City Restore.
That's right.
So thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm really curious, Jeanette, you're out there every day showing people the city. What do you think when people, like, I know when I talk to people, the thing that makes Detroit businesses unique is that the person behind the counter is a Detroiter, the person owns that store. It's part of the experience. How do you feel? How's that message being received?
Absolutely. One of the things that we talk about a lot is how there's silver linings to the challenges that we have faced over these decades. And one of them is that we didn't get all the big box stores and restaurants because we didn't fit their models and for a lot of reasons. But now there's an appreciation again for local, and what that's left us for is opportunity for small businesses, long-time businesses that have been here doing amazing work for a very long time with that passion. And I always say you can taste it in their food or, that character that you don't get in other cities. Other cities are trying to create a small business feel in $1 million project, and we have it here. We have a checklist on our website of over 750 bars, restaurants, and coffee shops in the city of Detroit, and 95% of them are locally owned and operated, and that's really our greatest asset, the people and the small businesses that make them happen.
That's excellent. You both have mentioned several challenges that small business face, whether it's marketing challenges or access to capital or just being able to stand out in the crowd. What are some of the programs or products you've come across that are meeting some of those challenges, helping companies overcome them?
So I would be remiss if I didn't mention Build Institute and what we do, especially around funding. We have a variety of different funding projects that actually assist businesses to getting the resources they need. So whether it's starting with Detroit Soup, which is actually going in its 10th year anniversary here. It's a micro-granting dinner that allows for seed funding and is voted on by the community, and the community actually gets to support these small projects and businesses just getting started. We also have Kiva Detroit, which is a crowdfunding platform that assists businesses with getting $0 to $10,000 that's fee-free and interest-free. And it's really based on crowdsourcing. So you have the community to support your business, and through that, you're actually repaying the community back. And it's a consistent pay-it-forward strategy that has really shown that the community is behind this, and also that it's more accountability to the entrepreneurs that are seeking this sort of funding as well. We're one of the top hubs of Kiva in the nation, and so we have over a 90% repayment rate for the loans that are lent out on that platform.
Awesome.
And then we have other products and partnerships that allow for funding, up to $100,000, $200,000, and for those entrepreneurs who need a bigger gap filler. So we're really happy that we offer these different products that allow to break down those barriers that typically exist when it comes to getting funding for businesses.
Excellent. A real gamut of services and products. Jeanette, what do you see out there?
Well, I think the non-traditional marketing is where small businesses can really access. And I think that one of the reasons we started this organization 14 years ago was to be a megaphone for these small businesses. And now social media, though there's some obviously challenges of social media, it has really helped organizations and businesses to promote their business for a cheaper amount. Though that's also getting tricky again, and learning about all of that. So getting people in the neighborhoods that live nearby the businesses to know about them and feet in the door. And that's why obviously we do the tours. That there's nothing like getting someone in a space to hear from somebody, to make them want to go back, tell a bunch of people, post on social media, that type of thing. But there's assets. I mean, Build Institute is amazing. The Motor City Match, and I know there's challenges with everything. Nothing's perfect, but for example, Akron is looking at comping Motor City Match, right? Because getting some of those barriers, there was this idea that just because there was empty space, that meant nobody wanted to be there. But the gap to get into an empty space, find out who owns it, find out if they'll rent it to you, find out that they'll probably need to do $60,000 in electrical work before you can even start to do your build out, and to have Motor City Match really help eliminate that gap has been a really big impact on a lot of our neighborhood corridors, as you mentioned, Livernois and Grand River and West Village and all around the city. So I think a lot of these programs, we're moving in the right direction.
Excellent, thank you. I'm curious, as we know the title of this particular talk is Helping Small Businesses Reach the Next Plateau, I'm curious, what do you all see as the future state of small business in Detroit, both from a reality situation, like what's real, and then what are some of the aspirational things that we should be thinking about going forward? Christianne?
That's a great question. I would say that aspirationally, having all of our commercial corridors activated in neighborhoods. So really having that 20-minute walk to the assets and resources that you need just from your home would be key to the vitality of our city going forward, and also bringing back more jobs, more resources to those neighborhoods that don't exist currently. Aspirationally, that's what my goal, and then the goal of Build Institute team is to really provide businesses the education they need in order to come back into the communities that they have such a passion for, to bring them the resources and amenities that they currently are seeking.
Okay, Jeanette?
Yeah, I think obviously we're so much on the same page and we work together so much, having started together with Beehive too, but I think connecting the dots even between the corridors, right? That's really for me the next level, or maybe Plateau, if we're, as the name of the panel suggests. But Detroit is very much a city of pockets, right? There's pockets of density, pockets of thriving retail, and we've been growing those pockets. So if the future can look like those pockets grow enough that they become larger pockets and connect all across the city. So as Christianne mentioned, there's access all across the city in every neighborhood to the needs of the people in the neighborhood. Then that helps on some of our bigger issues like transit. If your jobs are in the neighborhood, then having to take 3 buses across town is less of an impact, right? And then it stays in the neighborhood, and it's just a really magnified positive impact if we can get more and more and connect the dots between these corridors. And get people realizing, I will add, that walkability and that you can walk in the Motor City. There's already places to do that and to help educate people and get them on the streets, in these shops, walking, so that they notice what they have. Because there's assets here that are just not even known about yet.
And I'll just add in, keeping entrepreneurship inclusive and equitable here in the city of Detroit is also a main focus. So not to lose sight of the people who've been here, the people who are continuing to stay here, and how to keep them in the conversation and as part of this economic expansion we have.
I think one of the things you'll see as the city is developing forward, creating that environment that is right for small business. You'll see initiatives such as the Strategic Neighborhood Fund. If you haven't seen that, I encourage you to look at it online, along with the 20-minute walkable neighborhood initiative led by the mayor's office, which these are all about creating sustainable jobs in the city, in neighborhoods. Great point, Christian.
I just want to always make a point to say that Detroit has been all about small business and entrepreneurs forever. This is not a new thing, right? It's what we're seeing is that some of these resources are finally being made accessible to people who have had businesses in their homes, and now they can actually maybe quit their day job and open a brick and mortar or see what the possibilities are. But entrepreneurship isn't new to Detroit, and I think it is going to lead us into where we become an example of what a 21st century inclusive city can look like.
As we begin to wind down, I'm curious, if you think about Detroit's small business environment and ecosystem, if you had to take one word, sum it up in one word that really captures the look, feel, and spirit of Detroit's small business community. Christianne?
I would say determination. So no matter if the resources exist or they don't exist, our entrepreneurs and our residents here are determined to create opportunities for themselves and also opportunities for the communities they live in.
Awesome. Jeanette?
I would say community, that going back to the collaboration. Small businesses work together. The neighborhood, no small business can succeed without their community, without their village. And that's one of the things that Detroit has a lot of and will make our small businesses ultimately successful.
Okay, once again, I want to give a thanks to the Detroit Regional Chamber, Leadership Detroit, our panelists, Christianne Sims, Jeanette Pierce. I'm Mark Denson. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.